Hi there, RCJ to Daniel here. Welcome to my channel. I thought today we're gonna take a little closer look at my vintage car I have, my Team Losi XX, and I just gonna tell you a little background story of it. And that is that I started competed in the Winter Cup series around '91, I think it was, and we started with to compete and race with a RC10 car. First, we had the one with white A-arms with a carbon fiber chassis, and then when the world car was coming out in 1903, we bought that car about, I think it was maybe 6 months after the release or something. So I competed with that a few years, and then my father bought this Team Losi XX used for me around 1996, I think it was, and it was because I got tired of the RC10 and feel that I wanted to have another faster car, easier to drive, and we tested it, and it worked really well for me. This was the car that made me more successful on the track, and I started to get into the A finals and things like that. And I competed with this car until the end of 1997, and then we stopped with the competing and races and things like that. And my car has just has stood on a shelf ever since then, almost. First was my father, then with me, and I didn't care so much for the car, except for that, but just wanted to keep it as a memory. And just recently I fell more and more in love with it, and think more and more about would be cool if I could drive it on a track again, indoor, on the carpet with new foam tires. So I started to work with the car, and started with the shocks, exchanged the O-rings, and now I have done a completely renew double X car. I took it apart, the whole car of it, and exchanged. I repainted almost every plastic part and covered it with clear coat afterwards, and changed the ball bearings and things like that. So, but let's take a closer look at my car. So, this is how my car looks like. And it is new foam tires on it, and those rims are not the original one, but they are from that time. These rims was actually made by a Swedish RC shop, where it is down south in the country, and have raced with them. And it was actually rubber tires on them of some reason, even if I never almost drive it outside. But those tires was cracked and absolutely crap. So those was exchanged for these foam tires instead. But we can start from the front. I have, as I said, I repainted almost every plastic part except for the rod ends and those spring collars to adjust the ride eye with, and also those plastic nut holder for the whole shock in the towers here. And the steering is also originally. I'm not repainted that either, but but every other plastic part, and I'm gonna take the body off also. I just wanted to give a look on the car here, how it looks like. Let's turn it from the other side then. The front there, on the other side. The plastic cover there is also painted. RPM had in that time a black plastic, more stronger plastic than original Lexan plastic, but we never get a hold of that in that time. We drove with this, but regret that we should have bought one. But I did this instead because the old Lexan plastic had yellowed and looked terrible, so I renew it as best as I could with black plastic paint. Instead, it looks better, at least when it was before. So, but let's take the cover, the body off and the wing. All right, let's start from the front. The bulkhead is renewed with a new color, black color instead of the white original, and it was because I wanted to use longer screws through the bulkhead from behind the shock tower right through, instead of the originally shorter screws that end just inside here. And I screwed up a little bit when I had to modify the bulkhead and cut down a little bit here to make room for the bigger M3 nuts, because almost every screw and nut on this car is also exchanged from inch to millimeter. And I screwed up a little bit and got a little scratchy, and then I wanted to fix that as best as I could, and I did a repaint on it. So, and because of that, and also the shock tower had a damage, not on the other side. It's not gonna show, but I fixed that as best as I could with epoxy glue and smoothed it out, and also repainted the shock tower. And a third part that was already repainted before this even was the back motor plate and the gearbox plate. It was also very scratchy and looked terrible, so I repainted it also, but with a heat resistant paint. And because of those three parts was going to be painted, then I saw that if the rest of the car looks that's as scratchy as it was and worn out, especially the chassis, I feel that it's gonna look very strange with three parts that are repainted and the rest of it's not. So that's why I took the decision that I turned down the whole car and repainted everything. And I'm very satisfied with the result. So, but here you also have a Lexan plastic cover. I've done that myself for protection of the carpet I'm gonna drive on. I almost forgot to made one, so I can when I come to drive in the club races and the club. I've almost forgot that I have to have a Lexan protection or protection of something on the shock tower, so I made it a few days ago. And we can move back here. As you can see, this part is not painted, it's original. I have also updated the car for the first time in the car's life with the ball bearing in the steering here. So in the bottom part of the chassis it's ball bearing, inch of course, originally, and also up in this plastic part that is repainted, there are also ball bearings there. So, and an old modification that I just that I did a long time ago is originally you're like a cross here. I took that away along that time because I want to save some weight and make it easier also, of course, to adjust the steering here without have to screw up and unscrew these screws and flip it up every time if I want to make adjustments on this little turnbuckle. Also, here is supposed to be a cross or something we can say, but gone a long time ago. This is my own homemade battery plate made of 3mm carbon fiber, cut out myself with a Dremel, and also I had to rise up the bottom plate a little bit with the help of Velcro, I think it's a name for it. So because of the modern LiPo battery that is going to be used, the same I race with my modern buggy, it's not fit very well in the bottom part of the bottom. It's a little too wide for that. So that's why I just wanted to raise the the bottom part a little bit with Velcro, and now it's works really well actually. And I also have made my own roll bars for the car. These are adjustable, but not in the same way as the original. The original ones have these holders here in stiffer cell plastic, I think it is, because that plastic is used in the rest of the plastic of the car. And those holders originally is made by, you get 2 pairs of them with 2 different size grooved, and 4 different sizes of roll bar piano thread. And I translated in the inch version of it to millimeter, and the thinnest one is 1.2, and then 1.5, 1.7, and 2 millimeter thick. I have 2. This is 1 millimeter, and I also have bended a 1.5 millimeter version. So I have, let's say, a extra soft and almost a medium, you can say. But so the original, you can buy them still, but they are really expensive, about $100. And I want to make my own. So this plate is made by a 3mm carbon fiber plate instead. It is also adjustable, but not with grooves. Instead, the screw hole is oval shaped, so you can just move the back and forth depending on which size of piano thread you want to use. And if you want to use the thicker one, you also just flip side with the little shim that is 0.5 millimeter thick, and just put it down below under the carbon fiber plate. In that way you also at the same time rise it up a little bit, so you not get too narrow between the plate and the thicker thread. So, but that's that. And this is the only part I also have not done myself, of course, but Schumacher rod ends with just a threaded staff inside, and also I use Schumacher's ball with stop screw here. So, but the piano thread I bent myself and made these holders. And I also made my own cable holder here. Got inspired by, actually, again, Schumacher's cable holder you get with the car originally. I didn't have one spare, so I made my own with an old Schumacher tool, actually. So that's it for that. And you can also see the shock towers has been modified, but also done a long time ago. It's supposed to be a cross here in between, but got rid of that a long time ago to make more room for the cable through it and save some weight. And also, if you wonder why there is so many extra weights on the side, it is just for counterweight, because this e.t.c weighs over 75 grams, and the little receiver just weighs almost 7 grams. So I have added about 50 grams extra. 2 by 2 there, and 2 there, and 1 in the front there. So about 50 grams extra, just to counterweight, because this new lipos weighs almost just half of our originally older battery pack used to weigh. Those weighs about 360 grams, 380 grams, and those lipos you use today just weigh about 186 grams. So by saving so much weight in battery pack, you can just add some weight instead of extra weight to make the counterweight for the e.t.c. Why not? Let's move to the rear of the car. Here I also did some things when it comes to the hubs. These hubs here had originally an extra hole here, but the most people on that time cut that away, and I did not do that so perfect as I wished, because I wasn't so good at the time when I was younger. But this time, before I repainted the hubs, I smoothed this surface out a bit more to make it more much more flat and straight, and I'm very happy with that. I repainted it, and also I did some new I made some new pins for the drive axle that holds the rim in place. The original one was also made by me. The old ones was scrapped a long time ago. But the older made by myself was made of 1.5mm piano thread. And there was a little gap between the piano thread and the hole. So I did a larger version of it by using 2mm thick piano thread and grind it down so it fits perfect through the hole. And I also also here, if I did not say it before, but almost every screw on the car is exchanged to millimeter, and also through when it comes to the gearbox here. Also when it comes to the diff, I bought new diff bolts to it, the same size as the original, 3 by 32 inch, or how, if I pronounced it right, but 3 and a 32 inch ball. That's enough for that. And exchanged it and re-greased it. But I also exchanged the original inch screw with a 3mm screw instead, almost same size, and to a 3mm nut. So, and it works really well. I also did a modification when it comes to the spur gear axle here inside. I'm gonna take it away. Okay. I also rethreaded the hole inside the inner part of the axle that the spur gear and everything is mounted on. I took that inch threaded axle part for the 440 nut and replaced it with a 3mm axle instead. I find it was a spare for, I don't know which car, maybe the Traxxas Yacht or something, but rethreaded it and screw it in, and works great. Now I have a M3 locking nut here instead of the old 440 nut, and it is because I don't have so much for when it comes to inch size tools. But I also wanted to use millimeter instead, but that's because that is what I used to, and I like that better, and wanted to renew the car and make it more modern. I also have rethreaded the holes, all of the holes in the plate behind for the gearbox screws, and also for that cover holes here and there is also rethreaded in for 3mm. And this works great because the original inch size is about 2.5mm in size, so it works perfect to rethread to 3mm instead. Every other screw is just through plastic, so you just screw it in. But the last thing is the wing, actually, to show. Also a little modification I had to do, and it is that these rubber rounded parts here is I wanted to mount them because this was originally small mounting holes for the RC10 wing buttons, and because I used this wing for the RC10 before, I wanted to use it for the XX, and I have to cover those old holes. And first, in all these years, there was covered with just stickers. But because the hole was so close to this button and this down edge, when you twisted this plastic button or whatever you're gonna call it, it made the sticker loose or up the angle a little bit on it. Looked terrible, but I drove like this anyway. But now when I have renewed the car so much, I changed this hole, made it bigger, and moved it a little bit also downwards, because it was not the same measurements between the center to the edge compared to this center to the edge. It was more higher up than this hole, so I renewed the hole, made both of them bigger and moved it downwards so that it's the same distance now. And also made a little, I grounded down both front and back of this clamp or wing button. I grinded down that sharp edge here down here and rounded it, so now it's not in the way of the rubber anymore. So that's was the modification I did on the wing. But now you have at least seen the car. Oh, almost forgot actually. I'm going to show you the underside of it, so you can see the chassis and everything from this side instead. If it can be still, but here you also can see the A-arms, the rear A-arms is also repainted and everything. I also had to fill some deep scratches and or whatever you want to call it, so smooth it out a little bit. You can also see the underside of the back plate looked much more terrible before. So, and also I have made my own bumper to the car. The old one was very scratched and broken. Those back lips was gone, and also the front lip was off and gone. I don't know why, but old plastic. But it looks, that look was the ugliest piece of the whole car actually, before I made my own made of 2mm plastic card instead of the original is about 1.5mm. So I did a new one myself. So, but now I have showed you the whole car. I think that was everything to show on it. And I hope soon when the winter season is gonna start, when it comes to practice driving and things like that, I'm gonna take with me this car for the premiere run, and I hope somebody can film when I drive it, so I can put out a video of driving this car also on the carpet. But now at least you have seen the car, and it was a long video, but I hope you find it interesting, fun to see my vintage car at least. So and hear about it. If you have any comment or questions, put one down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and show your support, and give it a thumbs up if you like it, and share it. And thanks for watching, and hope we see you in the next video. Bye.